Welcome to Huddle Up, brought to you by the Fields Huddle Group. Jaguars senior writer John Osher, NFL Network Analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadour bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
Welcome in. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by the Fields Auto Group, Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. J.P. Shadour, John Osher from the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center. Bucky Brooks out in Los Angeles. It's been a couple weeks, Bucky. How are you? What's up?
I'm good, guys. What's going on?
You know, kind of a little bit of a lull time around here, Bucky, between free agency starting and then the offseason programs coming up. It would be time for 30 visits, but that's been relatively quiet. So it's pro day season for you. I've seen you all over the place, Buck.
Just a little bit, just a little pro day work. Cam Ward on Monday, got a chance to look at, I would say maybe the consensus QB1 of the class, even though I may have a differing opinion. And I will get a chance to look at Shedeur Sanders coming up in a week after spending some time in Dallas, Texas at Big 12 Pro Day. So I've been all over the place.
Bucky's not buying Cam Ward.
Apparently not.
I mean, he's
No, I'm not saying that. I just have Shedeur Sanders. I just have Sanders ranked over him. But it doesn't mean I can't like both of them. Doesn't mean it has to be contentious or debate. We're not hot take TV. You know what I mean?
We
can
JP
be. Buck's tight with Dion, you know.
I know. So, I'm aware. He was doing footsteps with him on TV the other day.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a little bit
of trying to help the next generation of DBs break properly. That's all.
Doesn't like the T-step.
Yeah, that's all. Like had a little fun with that. That was fun. Coach Prime is always fun. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. Had a little mock draft come out. Had all kinds of stuff. Trying to stay relative. You know what I'm saying? Trying to stay active.
Yeah, you certainly are. You're active. We know that. So all right, let's talk about the Miami Pro Day right earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward throwing. The Titans sent their entire leadership group down there. But there's still like these reports that they may or may not be into it. Cam Ward's talking to those guys after making throws on the field. What's your read on that situation? Is that pick up for a trade? Like what's the situation right now at one?
I think they're playing it out to the very end. If someone comes up and makes them an offer they can't refuse, they would consider it. I think you have to assume that they're going to take a quarterback. They need a quarterback. It's the biggest need. You can't play in this league without an elite QB1. You don't have a chance, especially in the AFC. They have a chance to get a QB1. Look, if they take Ward, he is spectacular in terms of his arm talent. He is kind of stout and sturdy in the pocket. He kind of reminds me a little bit of what they would have when they had Steve McNair. He's not quite the runner, but he's kind of like the rugged alpha dog leader that takes charge and kind of changes the franchise. He has a lot of ability, and it would make for a very, very competitive division to have another young, dynamic quarterback kind of step in.
Okay, Bucky, I have a question for the NFL philosopher, which you are.
Wow.
And here's what I'm getting at. It doesn't seem like Cam Ward is a guy that teams automatically love. There are quarterbacks who come out that are no-brainer number one overall. If you have the pick, you take him even if you've got a guy. Cam Ward, while talented, doesn't seem to be that. Here the Titans are, second year of the head coach's regime. You've been inside buildings. I'm not saying this is the case in Tennessee, but philosophically, I think the Jaguars went through it the Bortles year a little bit. You feel like at some point you've got to take a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
How tough is it when the franchise maybe doesn't know if it's the quarterback and you're just trying to take one because the timing is there? Do you get what I'm getting? I mean, that comes into it. You would hope it doesn't, but what happens when it does?
Yeah, no, I think it's natural. I mean, we're all humans. We're not robots, so those things seep in. We can talk about needs and best available all day, but if you're looking at your team and you know that you need a quarterback, it's hard to resist the temptation to take a quarterback that is there, that is rated at the top of the board. What's interesting about Cam Ward is I would say that maybe his in-your-face personality would be an acquired taste for a leader and a franchise and those things. And so you have to be very comfortable with someone who is very brash. And look, a lot of the things that people may not like about Shedeur Sanders, you can also say about Cam Ward in terms of his leadership style and those things. But what you can't deny is the arm talent is real. You feel it when you see him throw the ball around the yard in person. You also feel his kind of impact on the team whenever he plays, whether it's Incarnate Word, whether it's Washington State, and then finally at Miami. Look, the team takes on a bit of his personality, like it or not, but he's a really good player. He's really talented, and he's fearless, and that would make him scary within the division.
Is he Cam Newton?
No, he's not Cam Newton because he's not a runner like that. He is a
No, I just meant personality, where he takes over the,
No. Like I think Cam Newton is like different. But I would say, look, the best of Cam Newton was really, really good when it came to kind of being the leader that took over and do it. I don't think he's as flamboyant as Cam Newton was. But I would say that the spark, the energy that he gives off, it definitely has some of those vibes. Like he went down to Miami in 1 year, like really took over as the leader, demanded a lot, was very confrontational when it came to challenging players and bringing some of that out. And I would say that's not all bad. A lot of that is good because you would like your quarterback to ultimately be your leader. And when your quarterback is unafraid of confrontation, it makes everyone kind of raise their level of play up and kind of rise up and meet the standard.
Another quarterback who doesn't lack for confidence is your guy, Shedeur Sanders. So why do you have him ahead of Cam Ward?
If we're playing a game tomorrow, I think Shedeur Sanders is better prepared to play a game. Shedeur Sanders, when you look at, I would say not the pedigree, not just the pedigree or whatever, but watching what he did at Jackson State, then looking at the 2 years at Colorado, the fact that he had pro coaching from Pat Shurmur, a former NFL head coach, former NFL offensive coordinator, the concepts they utilize are the ones that we see on Sundays. There's going to be, I would say, an ease in transition in terms of dealing with the verbiage and the play calls and concepts and those things. The other thing that I would say is for Shadour, some of the flamboyance and some of the things that we see in front of the camera don't accurately reflect how he is off the camera, because off the camera, he's pretty quiet. He's pretty to himself, but he is a bit of the Pied Piper in terms of how guys gravitate towards him. To me, the key with Shadour is, does the head coach have enough security to be able to coach him hard and to be able to talk to him without worrying about all the other stuff that may come with him when it comes to the dad, the reputation, and all of that other stuff.
I've heard people say, though, Bucky, and from people that I knew who knew Deion was this way when he played too, that a lot of the show is just show. And once once the cameras leave the locker room, they always said Deion was a great teammate. And, now I assume that Shadour has a little bit of the same quality. I heard somebody say a couple weeks back, you don't have to worry about the circus coming with this guy. That's overrated. But do you think teams are scared of that? And, I mean, the family, obviously. Is that a topic? Or is that just a social media talking heads thing?
No, I think there's something to that. I think it can scare you if you don't know him. And it depends on if they let you kind of inside the inner circle where you really see the real them. For me, my relationship with Deion goes all the way back to 2009, having worked with him for a bunch of years at NFL Network and watching him talk about his youth football coaching days and his high school days and then making his way to college. So I kind of know him pretty well. So I get the real when it comes to him. With his son, it was the first time that I've really had an extensive conversation with him, and off air, like, he is very much like his dad in terms of like quiet, reserved, calculating in terms of like processing and taking everything in. I think that maybe the thing that people miss about him is he does have a high football IQ. He does understand the game at a high level, which you would kind of expect, because that's part of the reason why people like legacy and bloodlines when you're evaluating kids that look, football is the family business. So he has some of that. But I'll say this, like his arm talent and his athleticism is not what Cam Ward brings to the table. Like he doesn't bring that same level of like excitement and spectacular throwing prowess. But what he is that Cam Ward isn't is he's a touch, timing, and anticipation thrower. The ball comes out well before wide receivers make their break, and that is more like the pro game. Cam Ward needs to see it, but because his arm is so spectacular, he can make up for it by seeing it late and just kind of throwing the fastball by everybody. Is just a difference. I think I wrote about Shedeur, and I kind of likened him to Greg Maddux. He's not going to overpower you with the fastball, but he's going to paint the corners, and you're going to look up, and he has a 2-hit, another win, and you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe we lost to a guy that just kind of like, not dink and dunks, but plays a very controlled, short to intermediate game and finds a way to continue to move the offense down the field.
89-mile-an-hour two-seamer on the black.
Yep.
76 pitch perfect game or complete game. Jeez, that guy. Bucky Brooks with us. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. What about this Big 12 Pro Day? I don't know if any other conference is doing this, where all the schools send their guys to one location for, 4 days? Were you there for all the days?
Yeah, I was there. It just means a little more sometimes, in the Big 12.
Oh, really? Is that how it is?
I'm just saying. Like, I don't know why the SEC wouldn't have a pro day to let us see all the guys, but the Big 12 decided that, like, football is important. They wanted everyone
to
be able to see it.
About time.
Yeah, but it's, it's funny because it is a great event because you got a chance to see everybody right there. It's like having a mini combine, but for some of the guys that didn't have the invites. And you got a chance to see him do all the testing together as a scout and evaluator. You got a chance to kind of watch some of the guys that maybe you were debating on how you put the grades or which order they should be in. Well, you get a chance to see him work out back to back, which is always helpful. It was a cool event just because, you get a chance to see so many guys. And even though it's an abbreviated workout session, meaning the position drills were about 20 to 25 minutes, you got a chance to see a lot of the guys work out. You were able to kind of put the finishing touches on some scouting reports, and you had a chance to see and talk to a bunch of scouts to kind of get their takes on a bunch of different players and things that are kind of happening around the league.
What was the I've been back in the day to quite a few team site pro days. What was the vibe among NFL people? Would they like this to be a trend just for ease?
It's funny because there were some coaches that were there to see players and work out players, and what they didn't like is they didn't have that opportunity to do the one-on-one stuff that you normally would get. The scouts and stuff liked it because it saves you a bunch of different trips instead of having to go to Waco and Lubbock and make your way to the Little Apple, Manhattan. You can just sit right there in the Star in Dallas and kind of see everybody do their deal. I think there are pros and cons to it, but I think the pros far outweigh the cons in terms of being able to have one-stop shopping where you can see everybody in just one big event.
Well, because eventually, if they want to get one-on-one time, they can get them like to a 30 visit, or they can. You can fix that with a little effort, right?
Yeah, you can fix it. There are a few different ways to fix it. You can have a private workout where you meet them on campus and do that. You also can have them come on a 30 visit where they come to the facility and meet all the personnel. You get a chance to eyeball them, meet with them, have dinner with them, get a feel for how they would fit into the locker room. The 30 visits are really important, but also being able to get them on campus and in their environment and have dinner with them, that also matters too. It just depends on preference. If you are a people person, if you are really big on establishing relationships before you kind of make the call, you want to be able to get around them, and you can get around them better when it's a traditional pro day as opposed to a combine like this was.
The new season is right around the corner, and the time to get those season tickets, the membership, is right now. Be at the bank for every touchdown. Secure your seats at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, John Ozier. We're at the Miller Electric Center in the Hyundai Studios. Bucky Brooks in Los Angeles. And speaking of those 30 visits, we've had it so many different ways over the years with different regimes. Bucky, they've had situations where in 2014 they had like 15 guys on one day, 15 on another. And we interviewed a bunch of those guys that year. Remember, John? We had Bridgewater and
Johnny
Football and Clowney and all those guys. AJ McCarron, and all those guys were in the building the same day. And Blake was here that day. We've had it where they split them up over, the little bit of time here, and there's a couple a day, or they kind of cherry pick some guys, and we don't get to see them sometimes. Well, John, you were talking about it yesterday on Jags AM. It's not happening this year for the Jags.
Yeah, Bucky, my understanding is much like the Rams, the Jaguars, if any, very, very few 30 visits, maybe not do it. And I know the Rams and the Jaguars people have said this. The Rams are sort of the North Star. There's going to be a lot of, a mimicking of that because that's the approach. I know the Rams' philosophy with the Combine was always let's not cloud what we think about these guys with on-field stuff and stuff that's not on the tape. I'm assuming the 30 visit, relatively the same philosophy. You've been inside. I sort of lean toward wanting to know more about a guy, but this is sort of a different approach.
Yeah, but they still can get to know guys because remember, just because you don't bring someone on a 30 visit doesn't mean you can't have Zoom calls or regular phone calls to talk to them, to get to know them and do it. It would be a different approach, but there may be some value to that because everyone won't know who you are necessarily interested in. And I'll say, like looking at the Rams and what the Rams have been able to do over the last few years, whatever that approach is, it's worked for them. The thing that they know is the Rams have always wanted guys that love ball. Now, everyone would come to your facility and profess their love of ball and how much, they can't go without ball in their life and those things. But it's another thing that those actions and words really line up. The Rams have been able to identify guys that have those core characteristics where football is important. They love it. They love competing. They love the day-to-day monotony of getting better. Hopefully the Jaguars can find those guys as they talk about the Rams being their North Star and what they would aspire to be like within the confines of having their own identity as the Jags. There's some value to having a locker room that are full of guys that love ball and would do anything for the team and anything that they can to get better and to kind of master their craft.
I think we've talked about this before, Buck, and I'm not sure if it's been on the air or just when we talk. But in terms of getting to know that part of what you just talked about, which to me is sort of known, it's easy to know if a guy loves ball once you've been around him for a month, once he's been around your strength and conditioning guy who can sort of see through a guy's facade really quickly. As somebody who's been on the road and tried to get to know players, to me, what you're saying is you've got to have people who have been around this guy who you trust. It's more talking to people who know him and who have seen him in real time than it is talking to the player. Am I reading that right? I mean, is that just about just doing your research and doing your reporting on a guy?
Yeah, it is. It is that, and it'll really be on. And this would be fascinating to kind of watch how this plays out. How Gladstone trusts and relies on the scouts in the building, guys that he may not have had a relationship with. How much is he willing to lean on their opinion when it comes to what a player is? I can tell you as an area scout, look, there's a part of you that is part detective. When you go evaluate these prospects, there are times I can tell you, I used to go to Washington State. And I would hang out for a couple of days and kind of know the lay of the land and go to the watering holes that some of the players would go to and talk to some of the people that work at the restaurants and, hey, have you seen this player? What is he like when he's in here? And you talk to all the academic or whatever people, but you really find out about a player by asking the people around town as they begin to paint that picture. Maybe a lot of what the Jags are doing is having their scouts kind of do some digging to make sure that they feel really good about the players that they put on the board, the players that they're considering, so that not only are they going to represent themselves well as model citizens, but they're going to come in and have the core traits that we're looking for when it comes to being alpha competitors, guys that love ball, guys that love the process and everything that goes along with it. Because if you're able to because you've heard Gladstone talk about this, like, look, the culture is really a collection of guys that kind of think the same way about ball and the way the team operates, where you go and get a bunch of guys that put the team first, that love to work and those things, the culture naturally flips where you don't have to talk about it. The team is already about it.
I could just picture when you were talking about this, Bucky, you sitting at the Coug in Pullman, like with a fake mustache on and a hat and sunglasses.
No, JP. Now this is the
like
young
just
version
hiding
of
in the
me.
corner,
Go all the way back,
spying on guys.
The young version of me could just blend right in. I could go right to the frat house and get my little red cup and nod my head and sit in the back with everybody else and just kind of watch what's going on.
Yeah.
I started scouting 1 or 2 years right after I played, so it's easy to just kind of blend in. Now, this version of me, I would probably feel a little Belichick-y if I was in the spots. It would be a little different, but I could certainly go in there and do my best imitation, maybe with my hood on, to kind of sit and just kind of observe and see what's going on.
Him wearing his Groucho Marx glasses.
I can see that. Yeah. I can see it. And, pouring water in his beer bottle, make people think he was partaking. But kidding aside, I have known GMs over the years who consider what Bucky's talking about the key aspect of an area scout, because they feel like, hey, I can see the guy on tape. I know what measurables I'm looking for. They can send high-end cross-checkers to see if they like the way the guy plays. I can get a feel for a guy face-to-face at the combine, but that guy can't know the 25 campuses that an area scout has to know. The area scout's supposed to know the strength guy. The area scout is supposed to know a couple of guys at the bars, to know what these guys are, and they're tell me what I'm getting here, not what I'm seeing on tape here. So I think that is crucial if you're trying to find guys who you truly believe. You're not going to sit there 3 months down the road and say, okay, this guy likes ball, but he doesn't love it. So, there's a big difference in that, and that's what the area scouts are all about. Thank
goodness nobody scouted you or I in college, John, because that scouting report would have been chock full of goodies.
But
Bucky
that's
would have
not
found
always a bad thing that there are some goodies in the report. Some people like guys with a little character, because that is
there's a balance. It doesn't. You can't. I think it's okay to go to the frat party. You don't have to be there at 2 a.m.
And you can have a couple.
That's when it gets good, John. You can't leave early. Come on, man.
Oh, I was there at 2 a.m., but I wouldn't have wanted me on my team.
Attention music fans, the 2025 season at Daly's Place is underway. Shows coming up. They're back in business in May. Teddy Swims May 10th, T-Pain May 31st, Styx with Kevin Cronin and Don Felder June 2nd, Old Dominion June 6th, Vampire Weekend, Glass Animals, Avril Lavigne, all in June, and tickets at dailysplace.com. Show information as well. Countdown to the off-season program is underway. They can begin April 7th. I believe they'll begin the next day with Phase 1, strength and conditioning only, and it's John's favorite time of year. OTAs are not far away.
No, they're not. They are not far away.
Gotta like that.
Yeah,
excited. April 7th. I think I'm gonna get a good stretch in. Get ready to kind of participate in my own little off-season program out here.
You do some stretching on the field, are you? Are you gonna get in there with the coaches and the players?
Make sure I bring my cleats out when I watch practice.
This is another year, JP, where on-field activities, OTAs, are important.
Okay.
It's a new staff and a new regime.
It is.
So this does matter to the players. I don't necessarily think that what we'll see is all that great at a shorts practice, but it is important for these guys to get the feel of what's going on around.
And it's voluntary.
It is voluntary. It's voluntarily important. It's importantly voluntary.
It is. It's that voluntary mandatory thing that I would like to throw out there. I mean, it's voluntary, but
got a new coach.
Kind of like to have your presence there, and how you do anything is how you do everything. So
better be really, 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 really good.
This would be the perfect time to pull up the old Tom Coughlin quote from a few years back when he talked about we need to know your commitment level.
Yeah.
And if you're devoted to the team, you got a little trouble for that.
Yes,
But
he did.
I believe those sentiments may be shared
if you're
by some
good,
of those in the building.
If you're good,
you better be really good. You better be good. Yeah. If you're borderline.
Can we count on you? Can we count on you?
Right.
Can we trust you? Are you dependable and reliable? All those things. We kind of get a chance to see some of that in the offseason program.
All right, we've made it another week. Bucky, what do you got coming up? You got more pro day stuff? What's up?
No, just Shadour Sanders on April 4th. And JP, path to the draft starts next week. So that means a lot of conversation about the same 25 prospects that we like to talk about on TV. But then we'll try and crack it open a little bit, talk about some of the guys that the Jags could potentially look at. Yeah. Means maybe one or two more mock drafts. In case you missed it, 3.0 was just released.
Ooh, what'd you have this time? I missed it. I did miss it.
It's the same thing. Look, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to give you anything that is whatever, especially considering how I feel like the people would think that I would have some extra insight on the Jags. So Mason Graham it is again. So it's we're alternating between Mason Graham and Travis Hunter. I pondered maybe shaking it up a little bit and putting Ashton Genty there at 5 just to whoa!
They're not taking
Come on, Bucky, let's get serious.
I didn't know.
I didn't.
Come on, man.
I thought about it.
Who's
though,
picking
just for
this?
fun.
Tom again?
Like a conversation starter.
Oh, it would start a conversation that would end quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe. You never know, though.
I didn't mind Jeremiah's pick for him last week.
Who was the pick?
The edge from Georgia.
Oh, yeah, the Georgia guy.
Walker.
Jalen Walker?
Oh, Jalen.
Yeah.
Jalen Walker. Okay, where are we going to put him at?
I don't know.
Oh, so we're going to have 3 edges on – there's only 2 edges that you can play with, right?
Cheetah package.
3 edges on the field.
Kick Trayvon inside on passing down.
Oh.
Remember the old cheetah package we had? Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, so what you're telling me is we're going to get Walker. Wait a minute, there are only so many linebackers on the field, so somebody has to come and sit out. So
well, that wasn't a problem last year. I mean,
you got Fourier, you got Lloyd, we got Walker. I mean, like his musical chairs, John. We're putting somebody's out. Somebody's left out when the music stops.
Got to rotate players around here.
Gosh.
Okay.
Gosh.
All right.
Oh boy.
All right.
We'll rotate a guy on defense.
In a heartbeat.
We're just gonna attack and just rotate.
That's right. Attack and rotate. All right.
On that note. We'll call it a day, Bucky. We'll see you next week.
All right, Buck.
All right, man. Lots of fun, guys.
Bucky Brooks, John Oehser, I'm JP Shadour. Thanks to Joe Fortunato and Brent Reaver. Thanks to you for listening to Huddle Up with Bucky.